All right, so we are going to start working with the TI Inspire CAS. So this is kind of like the start screen here that you're going to see when you turn on. This is your home screen. And from the home screen, we have a few options here. You have the option to go straight to a calculate page or to the graph page. You also could create a document. You could browse your documents, settings, things like that. You also have down here some different options. So your calculate, your graph. This is like your geometry page. This is the table. This is, I want to say statistics. Let me go back there. Data and statistics. Yep. And then this is a document. And then I'm trying to remember what this one on the end here is. Let's see, what does this say? Vernier Data Quest. I've never used that. I've just kind of used these other ones here. So some other little things to point out. The control is how you get to any of the blue tools or functions above any of these other buttons. Some of these have other extensions inside of them. So like you can see, this is all the inequalities. It'll pull up all the inequalities and you pick the one you want. This one here is going to open just all your different symbols that you're going to need, things like that. You got your keyboard down here. So just to kind of get started, so you could create a note or a document here, and you can then literally type notes inside of the calculator. So whether that was formulas, things like that, that you could actually enter into your calculator to be able to review later. So if you want to play around with that at all, you can. Anytime you want to access the tools from inside of here, you're going to go to the menu. So you can see any of these actions. You could create a template. So question and answer, proof. Do you want to insert a shape, a comment? Format is going to be your colors, things like that. And then if you wanted to add in calculations, so you wanted to actually show maybe how you used a formula, you could add that into the document there as well. So like I said, if you want to do that, you could play with that. You can see right now, though, that I have, if I go out of here, hit the escape button's going to go back. I have 3 tabs open on top here. Now, I'm on my computer, so it makes it really easy that I can just use my mouse and arrow over to the other tabs. But if you want to go figure out like how do I go back to the previous one that I was on? All you're going to do is it's control and then arrow. So that's going to move you through the pages. So that's this blue thing here. So page to the left, page to the right. So I could go this way, or I could work my way back to my note page that I was over here. Okay, so we're going to start just basic calculations here. So I need to go back to the home page and I want to just calculate. So I'm going to open up a calculate page. So here's my calculate page, and in here you can start typing any math you want. So 3.1 times 6.2, and it's going to calculate it for you. I can do fractions. So if I want to do fractions, so there is the fraction icon above the divide sign. So like if I want it to stay in fraction form, I can hit divide this and it pulls up the fraction, or control divide, sorry. So let's say I want 1/2 divided by the fraction 2/3. And then you'll see that it leaves it in fraction form. So the way you enter your problem is how it's going to enter your answer. So if it has decimals, it's going to leave it as decimals. If you use fractions, it's going to leave it as fractions. So that is really nice. It will also, like if you have square roots, it will leave square roots and simplify for you. So that's, again, a really nice feature that you can use. So let's say I mistyped this. I said, oh shoot, I typed the wrong thing. I wanted to subtract them. So I'm just going to use the up arrow until I get to the part that I wanted and then hit enter. And what it's going to do is it's going to duplicate it down here. And then I can arrow back through. Let's see if I can. I don't know that I can. It may not. Okay, there it is. So 1/2, I wanted to hit subtract 2/3. I hit the wrong button. So divide 2/3. Sorry, subtract 2/3. Control divide is what I was saying. And then if I wanted to add those instead, I could use the up arrow again. Click enter, arrow through, delete it, and then change it to a plus sign or a multiplication sign. So you do still have that option, like your basic TI, to pull back the previous problems you were working on, just slightly different. If you have a ton on your screen and you say, you know what, I need to clear this, I've got too much going on, you just go to your menu under actions, and you can clear history. So it's going to clear the whole page and you start brand new, fresh. Okay. Next thing we can do, I'll show you where the square roots, how that will work nicely for us. So let's say we want to do 2, so square roots above the x squared, control x squared, 2 root 5 times 3 root 10. Now we know that that is going to simplify because root 5 and root 10 both have a root 5 in them, and that is going to simplify. So watch that work there. So we know 5 times 10 is 50. Square root of 50 breaks into the square root of 25 and the square root of 2. Square root of 25 is 5. It's going to multiply to the 2 times 6 out front. That's where that 30 comes from. Really nice that we can leave that there. If, though, I want to know the decimal version. So right now, it is very form specific. I've left it in square root form. I want the square root form. So I can go back up, take the answer, and then hit Control Enter. So that's the, above the enter is the approximate, that the squiggly equals is, so that's approximately. And that's how I can then take the answer that it gave me and turn it into a decimal if I wanted that. Okay, really cool thing about this is because it is a computer algebra system, it does rationalize. It does all of the things that we need to do to make our answers in proper mathematical form immediately. So if I had the fraction, wrong button, control divide, so 1 over 1 plus the square root of 3. So we know we can't leave square roots in the denominator. It is going to rationalize the denominator for us and get us the answer. Now, it doesn't show you any of the steps. It doesn't show you any of the work of how we get there, but it does give you the final answer when you're done. As you're working, if you need to find any of the other math symbols, that is going to be, I need to remember where that is. This guy here, I think, is the math expressions. Yes, okay. So inside here, you also can access tools that are available above buttons as well. So like the fraction is there, the exponent is there, the square root's there. But this is where you get your more than square root. So third root, fifth root, whatever. E to a power is also available here. It is also a button. Logs are here. That is also above a button here. So we do have some things that are duplicated over here, but we have matrices. You'll see derivatives. You'll see integrals, limits, subscripts, all sorts of stuff. So you can also use these here. So let's say I needed this. I want to take 17 to the 2.1 power. Okay, no different than if I did 17, hit the power 2.1. Again, a lot of this is preference, just like SPSS. There's always more than one way to do these things. It just what you want to do. All right, so now we're going to go and look at some of the cool little tools that are built into here, just like in GeoGebra or Desmos, some of those functions. So, oops, not document. If I don't want that, you click escape. So menu. So we're going to go under number. So here's another way that you can convert to decimal rather than hitting that control enter button. Or you can take a decimal and go back to fraction using option number 2. We can factor. So let's factor. Let's see. X squared plus 5x plus 4. The two numbers that multiply to 4 add to 5 are going to be 4 and 1. So there is your factored form. So it will factor. I can, under number, find the least common multiple, and then I can type in the different numbers. So the least common multiple of 2, 5, and 7. Oops. I can only do 2 numbers, sorry. So let's do 2 and 21. 42. I can also, under factor, this is a fun one too, I can factor a number and get it all the way down to its prime factors. So 1200. It prime factors 2 to the 4th times 3 times 5 squared. So that's really cool. I can find the greatest common denominator, or greatest common divisor. So again, of 2 numbers, let's say 180 and 55. The greatest common divisor is 5. So we will spend another day working more kind of with some of these other algebra tools, calculus, stuff like that. So we will look at algebra, how to factor, expand, solve systems of equations, things like that. We'll spend a day working with some calculus stuff here. So derivatives, limits, things like that. I think we do a little bit with matrices. I'm trying to remember. Let me open my binder here really quick and see. Yeah, so we'll do algebra stuff, calculus stuff. Okay, so I don't do a ton with matrices, but if you wanted to, you could look back at matrix operations here. You could play around with that, reduce row echelon form, transpose, determinants, do specific row operations. So this lets you actually work through the whole process of swapping rows, adding rows, multiply and add, all of that kind of stuff. Vectors, dot products, all sorts of stuff here. So just kind of wanted to show you the basics of the calculate page. And we're going to look a little bit at statistics. I will tell you, it's a little clunky when it comes to statistics. I would clearly go to StatCrunch or SPSS or Excel, something like that. That's a little more probably computer friendly. just because trying to do that on the calculator, while it does a great job, it's just a little clunky in navigating it. So I am going to show you that though. So we are going to, I'm going to go back to the home page, and I want to add a list and spreadsheet. So that's this guy here. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to enter, this is the ages of children attending a birthday party. So 2, 3, 4, 4, 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, 4, 6, 8, 9, 1, and 3. So I have 15 values. Now, if you want to go back to the very, very top, there is a shortcut. It is Control 7. So do know that your normal things like copy and paste, Control C, Control V work in this calculator. All right. So if you want to go back to the top of your list, it's Control 7. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to label column A. So I'm going to use my touchpad. I'm going to go all the way up here. A is age. So I'm going to hit A, G, E. And then I'm going to hit enter. So right now I have my age of all of the kids that are coming to my party. All right, so I want to run some statistics. So we are going to go to menu, go down to statistics, stat calculations. Oops, hold on, not a linear regression. I clicked too fast. So menu, stats, stat calculations. We have one variable statistics. So let's run some one variable statistics. So the list that I want is list 1. So I'm just going to click enter. All right, so the list is list A. That is what I have selected. I can click it as age here. Where do I want my results to fall? I'm going to put them in the next available column, which is B. And I'm going to click OK. So we can see here, we have one variable statistics. X bar is the mean. So the average age of the children attending the party is 4.5. The sum of the values is 68. Sum squared is 406. That one is sample standard deviation, population standard deviation. We have 15 total values. They will then go into the 5-number summary. Minimum, quartile 1, median, quartile 3, and max. Sum of squareds. All the same stuff that you get in your TI 84 is also available to you here. Okay. Nice thing about this, though, is we can actually create graphs on this calculator. Like I said, it may be a little clunky at times, but let's create a box plot. So what I need to do is my data is stored in this one. If I want to create a graph, I have to go here and then click this guy because this is the graph tab. All right. So right now there's just a bunch of random dots on my screen, which makes it really, you don't really know what you're looking at here. So it kind of tries to draw a scatter plot, but there's no variables added. So what we need to do is we need to get our cursor down here to enter it to add the variable. So I'm going to click here, and anytime you need to click, you're just clicking this middle button here, and I'm going to put the age. So what it default makes here is a dot plot. A dot plot is the same. It's also called a line plot, depending on what book you're looking at. And this is just telling me, hey, 1 happens 2 times, 2 happens 2 times, 3 happens 2 times, 4 happens 3 times. And what you could basically do is draw little bars around it, and you've created a bar graph. So let's say well, we don't want a bar graph. I wanted my box plot. So any time I want to do something else, I'm going to go to the menu here and I want to change my plot type. So it's default to dot plot. I want the box plot. And then you're going to see it transform into the box plot. If I wanted to go back, I could go back to the dot plot, just going back and forth. I could turn it into a histogram. And here you'll see how it basically turns it into a bar graph. It's a histogram just because it's numeric data on the scale, so the bars are going to touch. Okay. Let me go back to the box plot. The nice thing is you can hover your cursor. So moving kind of with this middle cursor here, if you can move it, you can see what the different values are as you get close to them. Median is 4, quartile 3 is 7, max is 9. So there are some cool little extra things that you can do. I can also create a dual bar graph. Dual box plot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my other tab here. So I need to hit Control, go back a page. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a second set of data. So I'm going to actually come over here to this third column, and I'm going to call this age 2, just to specify it here. All right, and let's say we have a different group of kids. 6, 3, 4, 7, 6, 5, 4, 4, 4, 8, 8, 6. All right, now I'm going to go back to my box plot. So Control, arrow page over. And I want to now add a variable. So under menu, I want properties. And it says here, add an X variable. So I'm going to add the second variable of age 2. And then you can see here we've got 2 box plots. And you can, again, scroll over both of them to see both of them here. I could change between the types again. So if I wanted to see the dot plot, it's going to stack them. Age group 1, age group 2. So that is really nice that you can kind of go between the two there. And then if you wanted to go back, you could just remove the variable, the one variable, add it back in, whatever you want to do. Okay. So we did the histogram. All right, so next I will show you, let's say we want to do a scatter plot. All right, so what I want to do, I'm going to clear this page out here. So menu, plot properties, remove an X, menu, plot properties, remove the X. All right, so I'm just going to go back and let's make a new data set here. All right, so what we're going to do, all right, this is, we're going to compare height and weight. So generally we would assume that the taller you are, the more you would weigh. And I'm also going to add in the gender of that person. All right, so let me do my heights. 171, 165, 156, 158, 159, 173, 179, 167, 160, and 151. All of this data is taken from the PDF tutorial document for the calculator. So I'm just kind of walking through some of them with you here. All right, 7366. This is in kilograms, by the way, and centimeters. So this is not US data. This is more like UK data, because this is not using our English system. All right, and all right, we have male, male, female, male, female, 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 male, male, female. Okay, so we go back to the stats page. Okay, so I could default go and make a male graph and a female graph because I have variables. So I could do that if I wanted to. Let me try to go down here. Add height. So I could graph all the heights. I could group them by their gender. There it is. Okay, so add the gender here. Make this the gender, and then it'll separate it. I knew there was a way to do it. Okay, I could also turn this data into a scatter plot. So let me undo that. Let me make this my Y, my weight. And I've now created a scatter plot. So here you can see my height compared with my weight. And I can hover over each point, and it will show me the pair. So height with weight.
I love you.
Okay, we can, let's see. Doesn't look like there's a whole lot of information happening, or kind of like a relationship here. There's a little bit of a positive relationship that as you get a little taller, you're weighing a little bit more, but not the best kind of data set here. But once you have one, you could figure out a regression line. So under menu, under analyze, I could then come up with regression, and this would be linear. So mx plus b, and it's going to put the line on here. It is going to give you your equation. You do have the option to kind of click and move this if it's in the way. This is a part that's really clunky on the actual handheld, because you kind of have to click this middle button and attempt to move it around. I'm on my computer. It's a lot easier to move it with a mouse. But you do have the regression. All right, so we're going to continue here. I'm going to create a new data set. So I'm going to make a new spreadsheet. So let's do time, and I'm going to do heart rate. So we're going to do a little bit more with some linear regression here. So this is going to represent a 12-minute exercise and the heart rate that you have at those different points. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And then the heart rate starts at 78, 137, 150, 157, 170, 179, 183. Now my heart rate has not ever gotten above like 173 in a workout. So these are a little high for a heart rate but we are going to just pretend that it is our data. All right, so I need to again add, so let me go back home and I need to add my data page here. So for the X is going to be time, and then the Y is going to be the heart rate. So a fun thing about this is it can kind of be that dynamic. You can kind of play with it software. You could add your own line here and try to find your own line of best fit. That is something you could do. So analyze, add a movable line, and then kind of click the line, change the angle, and it's going to give you your equation here. So it is kind of cool that you can do some of that. I could click the line and move the whole line up and down. But it just gives a little extra ability to kind of play with the data first before it just gives you the answer. So do remember that when you go under to the menu, if you want to analyze and do the regression, you do have all those same options that we had in SPSS. So linear, quadratic, cubic, powers, exponentials, logs. So it does have all of those same type of options as well, which is nice. Let me go back a tab here. I can also do the residuals. So to see how far the values are falling from the line of best fit, how far away we are getting. So let's see if I want to see this, show the residual plot. So that's going to be here. So this is where the middle line is. This is where your line of best fit is. And this is where the points actually fall in respect to that predicted value. So you can see kind of those. If you want to see some of the values that you get when running these, I think I need to go back a page to the table. Okay, so when I run the regression in here, it gives some of those other information. So statistics, stat calculations, linear regression here. All right, so the X variable is time, the Y variable is heart rate. And it's going to put the data there. So you can do just like you did in your regular TI and get your M, your B, your R squared, your R. So remember, R is your correlation coefficient. So 0.98 or 0.89, sorry, is a strong positive relationship. R squared, 80% of the variation is with respect to the line. This gives you all your residuals. So all that same stuff is there, available across all of the different forms of technology that we have used. But really, that's kind of where I was going to stop with these, because that's kind of the concepts that we covered in SPSS. And so just showing you kind of that same process, just with a different tool. So there's always more than one tool to be able to run these different calculations. There's probably other websites you could use as well. So it's just nice that this is a handheld option. Like I said, it does get a little clunky at times when you're trying to use certain buttons or use that cursor specifically, but play around with it. I'm not having you do a whole lot this week. This week is kind of like a catch-up week here. Let me go to Blackboard really quick. I think there's just one assignment due this week, so hopefully that will be nice for you guys. So let me just double check here. Oops, wrong class. All right, we are in week 11. So the tutorial that I was following is in here, and I was working through chapter 1, I think was kind of like the basics of getting started. And then I want to say it was chapter 13 that was the statistics. But that's what we're going to I'll show you as we go through here. But yeah, this is your only assignment here. Really what you like about the calculator so far, what you dislike, what's something you'd like to learn about, and I can kind of find some documentation and send that to you. How do you see yourself using this in your future? And I'm not sure what that one, the different concepts. Oh, compare and contrast the calculator with SPSS. So catch-up week, anything you haven't submitted, please work on some of those other PSJ problems, any of the other SPSS stuff that you need to work on. But otherwise, short week this week, and go out and vote. And I will email you again next week. We're off campus a few weeks here until the end of the month. So have a good rest of your day.